Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the WEgate Peer Learning webinar. It's another WEgate community initiative that's bringing together amazing women supporting organizations for the purpose of sharing best practices in women's economic empowerment. My name is Elena Stojanovic from the Foundation for Management and Industrial Research, one of the partners of the WEgate Consortium. So I'm your host and moderator for today. We will be discussing key roles of service providers in building more inclusive and enabling environment for women entrepreneurs or strengthening the entrepreneurial ecosystem. WEgate has been active in building capacities, networking, and peer learning of women entrepreneurship organizations. Peer learning is a powerful tool for strengthening practice, coordination, collaboration, and culture of learning within the community. In WEgate, we support this process by surfacing good practices of our community members and share them through events, webinars, study visits, and web articles. We want to be inspired and motivated by the good practices, having an opportunity to replicate or join an existing already working practice. So much of the conversation over the years has centered on increasing the numbers of female entrepreneurs. So we need to see this conversation evolve to focus on high growth activities. So many women around the world are making a significant impact despite the barriers in the system. And it's imperative that more focus is placed on helping female entrepreneurs and building owners to build high growth companies. The key to growing the number of women entrepreneurs in the world is to make them known and share their success stories with others. So role models are vital within the entrepreneurial world. They serve as powerful reminders that something already has been accomplished. Through hearing these inspirational stories of success, women are more likely to feel more equipped to go after their goals and pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. And the power of connecting with other like-minded individuals should not be underestimated. And mentorship should be the goal in any industry to ensure women are receiving as many resources as possible. So supporting women entrepreneurs helps attract and retain new talent, which enables market innovation and growth. Economic empowerment of women can create conditions for a family to be poverty-free, to live in a sustainable way, and for the prosperity of the whole nation. The more jobs there are, the more you grow the economy because you are making productive use of human capital, and that productive use is pouring back into the country and helping to grow GDP. So what we do locally could be easily replicated in other regions by sharing the know-how. So before we proceed to the presentation, I would like to do some technical input. If you would like to ask a question or contribute with a perspective or an idea during the webinar, is something we encourage you to do. You could use the Q&A section or the chat function. The questions could be answered at the end of the presentations. You could also use this opportunity for networking. So feel free to share your LinkedIn profiles or contact details if you feel okay with that in the chat room. And please note that this webinar is recorded and will be published in the WEgate channels. So today we have with us two lovely ladies dedicated to women empowerment. The first presenter is Ms. Patricia Montesinos, a board member, co-founder, and president of a female think tank with headquarters in Zurich. FEMALE works on closing the gender gap by uplifting females in entrepreneurship and in science. To get so, they engage stakeholders in scientific research. And besides that, she has already launched a consulting and retreats boutiques, womenchangemakers.com, aimed at women in business and entrepreneurs. So Patricia, the floor is yours. You can share your screen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Hi, Elena. Thank you very much once again for inviting me to this webinar. My pleasure to share here my knowledge, my insights, And also I'm looking forward to you guys to know you better. If you like, you can drop me an email if you don't want to raise a question now, but happy, to exchange with you later on. Yeah, I'm here because of Female Think Tank. This is a non-for-profit organization that we are establishing in Switzerland with a team since 2 years ago. But before I take you to the journey, I would like to bring you to my own experience. So I thought it's a good idea for me to share with you how I did get this think tank alive. So let me just share my slides. Oops. Here we are, sorry. So here is where everything started. I'm Spanish myself, and I moved from Madrid to Copenhagen in 2012. And I left in Madrid a very interesting career. I was promoting and selling more magazines from more than 100 publishing houses in Spain worldwide. So my work was about, traveling a lot, meeting very high level people and so and so. Then I arrived to Copenhagen, a very beautiful city, but the expectations I had or how I envisioned myself didn't happen. So I had to reinvent myself. So yeah, I had the knowledge. I had certain level of contacts, specifically in the Americas and also in Spain and so. And certain areas of expertise, and I decided to undertake. And I thought that it would be a kind of idea to establish a consultancy firm. So then I established ILABIS. ILABIS was a company that helped Danish companies to go to Spain, and also it helped Spanish companies to go to Denmark or other Scandinavian countries. And ILABIS support these companies within the areas of business development, business growth, internationalization, strategy, marketing, and so and so. But, as you might probably thinking that starting something from scratch is not that easy. So, of course, myself, I had to face a lot of challenges. And the first one was the network, the lack of network. When practically I arrived, I found out myself very isolated. And I didn't have the network when I needed to have it, a specific network. And that was a huge barrier for me for the business growth. Then, of course, the lack of funding or financial resources. Getting the first client is just a very, 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 very tricky thing, right? So making the finances, the balancing between your expenses and incomes were a kind of a difficult part. And the hardest part, as already mentioned, was to get the first client. Paying client, I would like to reinforce. The first paying client was very difficult to get. And but then I got it, and then another one, and it was amazing. So then I started to build trust. I was trusted by my stakeholders. Everything seemed to be more like easy. And well, I did it because of my hard work, my determination, also resilience. I got it. ILABIS was established. So, and because my experience with my own business, I decided to help two other women. In 2013, we created with a group of volunteers, we created WEG. You see a photo in this picture. WEG had the aim, or has the aim, to encourage women and support women within the areas of finance, sales, and management. So in the first cohort, we supported about 25 women, and from there it was, just growing. There were a lot of success in that. It's where my passion started, I might guess. It's where everything started. That's why I like to, to bring these thoughts or these experiences alive. Then my daughter was born. Here is in the corner, Alessandra. She was born, and with her, I think that my momentum arrived, because I had the feeling that I wanted to rise here in an equal world, with equal opportunities, with equality for everyone, with a diverse society, and that was very powerful. So that energy is that she brought me to my experience, my personal experience was so huge. And it's where I really decided to do activities that resonates with me, and also to do something about, you know, my passion and things that had a kind of great purpose. That's why my journey, that's where my journey started. Later on, I wanted to research. I was completely obsessed by, you know, knowing more about female entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship startups and so and so. And I did I wanted to have more education as well in the topic, and I took an MBA with a major in entrepreneurship. Then later on, a thesis for the MBA was about the barriers that women have to access finance for growing their companies internationally. I compared to countries, Spain and Denmark, and found out very interesting details, in particular in the financial choices that we have. There were differences. And well, almost when I finished the MBA, my journey in Denmark was almost done. So I'm talking about 2018. And by that time, I was just moving to Zurich, where I'm based permanently right now. And at that time, I was engaged in the publication of a book, which is Female Entrepreneurs and Investors with But We Don't Know Much. That is basically, you know, the ideas that I had during the process, during my journey as an entrepreneur, and the experiences shared by other women in the topic. So this brings me to Female Think Tank that I'm going to present to you guys now. So Female Think Tank, here we are. So every project or every business starts with a question. In our case, the question was, why is female entrepreneurship economical participation too low? And yeah, because the awareness is there. We all know that there is a low participation. The gender gap is known as well. We all know that there is a huge gender gap, in particular in female entrepreneurship. And there are so many initiatives, but even though all this is happening simultaneously, even though the economical participation is still too low. So depending in my experience and in my research, you know, and my experience in other countries living and working, I found out that it pretty much depends on the country in where you are based, that there might be barriers that are affecting the most in the progress of female entrepreneurship. In my particular case now in Switzerland, we found out that the stereotypes are very, very strong. This is a very conservative country. We do have a disproportional parental responsibilities. Basically, you know, the females, the responsibilities rely on females the most. And there is a systemic bias, and that these three things affects everything. So in our case, in particular case, it's not just about of lack of funding, because the funding is available. It's about dealing with the bias. It's about dealing with the bias and, you know, changing the society to a positive, you know, moving the society to a positive change. And I'm not saying that it's a question of males. It's just it's males and females. We do have these kind of stereotypes at root culture, inner culture inside us that doesn't help us to progress in this particular case in entrepreneurship. So if I compare Spain, it's totally different, and if I compare Denmark, it's completely different story as well. So, but we are not going to enter in details right now. So, you know, we started with a question, and then with the team I met about 2 years ago when the Female Think Tank was established. We had a vision. The vision was to close the gender gap through female entrepreneurship. So basically, we wanted to uplift female entrepreneurship. We want to improve the participation of females in entrepreneurship, and in Switzerland, we want to do it by 40% in 2030. Our strategy lies the most in transforming research outcomes into tangible solutions, and I will give you some kind of feedback later in these slides. So basically, we want to increase the participation of female in entrepreneurship by providing new angles of research-based that concretely addresses specific problems and propose solutions as tangible tools, frameworks, and best practices. So, because we think we are not an entity that that focused purely just in data-driven proposals. We want to bring the data alive. So we think we do not end in data. We analyze the data with the purely aim or with the expectation of having tangible outcomes that can be applied into a real situation. So we are in the middle of, we are not an academic institution. We are not a consultancy entity with that much managed data. We also bring this data until the end of something that is tangible for the big mass. For example, we are pretty much interested in altering the discussion around female in entrepreneurship. We do not want to continue with the same discussion that we, for example, have a lack of funding. Okay, we know that we have a lack of funding already. So let's do something about it. Let's try to find different angles to explore, maybe hidden trends that hasn't been, explored yet, or other perspectives that can bring a lot of value and bring new proposals, new ideas for us to sit with the leaders and decision makers to make this, to make things happen, basically. How do we create value? And this is the magic of this is our magic, basically. We play with data. So we detect a research phenomenon. A research phenomenon is any problem or topic that is chosen by female as the subject of an investigation issue. For that to happen, we have designed two instruments. The first one, or the first level, is awareness. We raise awareness. For that to happen, we have launched a very cool project, which is INNOVA, Market Trends, in where we interview scholars that have been done a research in female entrepreneurship, and in particular within the areas of priorities, areas of our interest, economy, society, environment, and so we read the thesis with the idea of finding these new angles, these non-written rules. We prepare a kind of critical questions and then we interview them. These interviews are released on our social media channels and always are complemented with speaking engagement activities like webinars or media presentations and also content creation. So every time that we interview a scholar, we do have an infographic or a report done to complement and to even more claim for action, right? The idea of INNOVA is also raise the voices of scholars. That it's not just it's not something that we do just for ourselves, but also because we think that these scholars, PhDs that have been done something in our space is they do have a lot of value that can bring to the society. And sometimes their studies or research just rely on the academy. So we bring this alive as well. The second level or the second instrument is IWEG. IWEG is basically, we would like to bring this data alive. We would like to bring the data that can be applied into a tangible tool, can be transferred into a tangible tool under the form of a business, a service, a frame, and also that addresses a high pressure, like in the societal pressure or managerial pressure or economic pressure. So we take this issue to the second level, and through an internal system, we connect with our ecosystem to assess the market with the idea to propose a project to be implemented in a real situation. So we assess our market through internal committees of experts, and then we analyze the feasibility of potentially bringing a new frame or a new tool for them to be implemented. Is how it works. But this happens internally, so it's another level. So we have these two levels. A lot of visibility that comes from INNOVA, and IWEG is something that we do internally. Well, this is more about the initiatives we have. INNOVA, and where INNOVA we have so far published or released 4 interviews, almost launching the last one that will be launched, I think, in June, exactly, crowdfunding. So all these interviews have added a lot of value to our market because we found, these characteristics, these very cool things that are not really apparently issues, but they are. For example, very recently in one of the interviews we had, we detected that by reframing in a financial round, that investors normally ask questions to males and females. So the scholar found out that by normally investors tend to ask female entrepreneurs prevention questions and male entrepreneurs promotion questions. As a consequence of this, female gets 7 times less funding than their male counterparts because of these questions, right? So it's a long story. I'm not gonna keep you busy with this, but this is the kind of things that we like to discover, and then we do something about it. So now we are in the process of conceptualizing a frame to be implemented with related institutions here in Switzerland to see if the analysis done by this scholar, has the same impact in Switzerland. The analysis was done in the United States. So in IWEG, I already shared with you guys something about the internal working groups, but it's basically, we are conceptualizing this project pilot for the Germanic region, and it's about potentially bringing a frame that can change the traditional discussion around female lack of funding. And the lack of funding, sorry. We also publish our own materials. We are about launching, hopefully after summer, a multi-year monitor in where we would like to analyze the female entrepreneurial activity. And it will have 2 parts, mainly recurrent questions, recurrent topics that will be the same over the years, and then trend topics that will be, selected by the year by year. So the idea is to be able to measure the impact over the time, the impact of our initiatives over the time. We also publish infographics and reports, and of course the newsletter and so. So although the main beneficiaries of our initiatives and activities are female entrepreneurs and the society as a whole, we do not target them directly. We target foundations, we target institutions, philanthropic leaders, and so. And we are specifically addressing the segments in the women in startups because we think that there is even the gap is higher in that sense, in that space. Women entrepreneurs in advisory boards, enterprise women in science, young women in science, women entrepreneurs, and so. Females, female means females and males together, because we think that we can make it faster if we engage males in our cause. So we are not feminist. We embrace males, and in fact we are growing the team now, and I hope that we will have at least 30% of males, because we think we can make it faster, and because of the gender diversity is important. So the exchanging from each other is important. The learning from each other is important. We bring other things on the stage. So we finance the think tank with one-time contributions. So, sponsors that support us with a specific fund for specific projects. And also we are about to launch, hopefully also by the end of the year, the membership packages. So we like to target corporates and individuals, advocates, individuals, and so. But I hope it will be after summer. Let's see. And finally, the team. We are based in Zurich, Switzerland, but we are a very international team. We do have Swiss people, we do have Americans, Italians, Germans, and as I said before, we are growing now, and we are super committed to develop this think tank. This is all I wanted to share with you, but please feel free to ask me whatever you want to ask me. And also, if you don't feel like to raise any question now, drop me an email. Here is my email. A big thanks to you all, and happy to connect with you later on in LinkedIn, perhaps. Bye. Thank you.
So thank you, Patricia. Thank you for the inspiring presentation. Data is very important to be gathered before we push towards implementation of measures and initiatives for supporting women entrepreneurship. We can discuss more in the Q&A section. And now we're going to pass the floor to Eri Pavlaki. She's our second speaker. She holds a master's degree in international law, diplomacy studies, and human rights. She is professionally experienced in various fields, while she had also taken over the management of a family business active in the sector of imports and trade. She occupied herself with marketing and B2B sales of various companies in Crete. She was the founder and chairwoman of voluntary association I'm Still a Child for abused and needy children. She was identified as a trainee and mentor in Erasmus Plus activities and has supported several respective social projects as a leader or project manager. Through her actions in civil society, directly or indirectly had benefited more than 11,000 people. And together with her partner, she has founded Women Do Business, a non-profit organization that promotes women's entrepreneurship and the removal of stereotypes through various actions. Their goal is to promote women's entrepreneurship, to inspire, motivate, and support women who want to turn their idea into business, to change restrictive beliefs and stereotypes around women through their promotion in business. So Eri, the floor is yours. You can share your screen now.
Okay, great. Hello, thank you so much for the invitation. WEgate, is always a pleasure to be with you. I'm happy to share our experiences with an audience that keen on for personal development. And I'm very happy that I heard about female think tank work is amazing. So happy to connect and thank you, WEgate, for that, I would say. And this is why we're here, also networking, yeah? So before I start about the organization, I will share some things about myself. As Elena said, my studies in international law, diplomacy, and human rights. I came back in my hometown in our island, Crete, when I was about 28 years old. And at that time, I felt the stereotypes in my bone because everyone around me was telling me, when are you going to get married? Or when are you going to have children? Why you don't find a safe job? And you know, this pressure I was feeling at that moment from my family, from my friends, from the environment was suffocating. So I had this job in the marketing field, advertisement at that point, but I felt actually unhappy. I didn't like it. I didn't feel creative. I was still feeling the pressure. I didn't know what to do. And thank God I was going to seminars like this one. I was going to entrepreneurship events. And at that moment, in one event for entrepreneurship, among many men, I heard a woman. She was really inspiring, really dynamic. I felt something in my heart, and I felt the need to listen to more women. And at that point, I thought that if I have this need, probably there are other women here in our island with the same need as me. So I shared the idea with my partner, Natasha, co-founder. And in 1 month, we had our first in-person event here in Crete on May 2019, where we had 120 people. To tell you the truth, we haven't thought something after that, but because we like it, we said some months later, let's have another event. We did another one, and we had some months later, and we had 150 people. And at that point, women starting to come to us and tell us, okay, what's the next step? I have a business idea. What shall I do? And this is where we start to thinking how we can support women in a more practical way. Coronavirus came, which actually was an opportunity for us because it gave us the chance to go outside the border of our island, yeah, and to have access to the whole Greece. So we built a community all over Greece. So we took our legal form as a non-profit on July 2020 to promote women's entrepreneurship and the elimination of stereotypes. We emphasize in Crete, in the island, in remote areas, and then the rest of the Greece. Here is our amazing team, my partner and my best friend, Natasha Grigorakis. She's also 15 years entrepreneur in telecommunications. She's a mother of 3 boys. So she has experienced a lot what it means to be mother and all the barriers that has that accompanies it. And of course, we have 35 volunteers that support us all over Greece virtually since the moment we started. Everyone in their field, from HR, social media, and goes on and on. Our mission is to support women to create their own business and to contribute to gender equality in the workplace. Here is our values. I will say that we give priority to collaboration and openness. And of course, we're aligned with SDGs. And do we really need to talk about female entrepreneurship? We get often this question. And the answer is yes or no. Yes, because women have to overcome several barriers and stereotypes that men haven't. And one of them is what Patricia shared before about funding. But is it the right term? Because when we say female entrepreneurship, it actually includes a linguistic sexism. So if we want to talk the right way, we say women's entrepreneurship, the more proper nowadays way. The rank of Greece, let's talk about numbers. So Greece has the last position in Europe according to Gender Equality Index. And what's the issue? What actually stops a woman from starting her own business? And these reasons are through surveys in European level, in national level, and in local level are the same prioritizing. So first of all, we have family responsibility, then comes the lack of confidence, and then the absence of support from the environment. If you ask me, the root for all of these are exactly the stereotypes that exist, the restricted beliefs and the bias. Women's entrepreneurship in Greece in Crete is 26.5%. In Greece, it's even lower, it's 24.5%. And what's actually the solution for that? First thing is empowerment. This is where we're discussing before with Elena and Patricia. If a woman doesn't feel confident, if she's not empowered, she will not do the next step. Maybe you will train her 100 times to show her how to do a business model. But if she is not feeling empowered, she will not find the money and she will not move forward. It's not enough, though. This is why we have a modern and holistic approach based in 4 pillars. So first thing, as we said, is empowerment. For us, we succeeded through events of inspiration and motivation, where we give the possibility for next-door female entrepreneurs to share their story. And then we have seminars, how to overcome fear, how to overcome restricted beliefs, how to set goals. Then there is the education. Almost every week, we have a free online webinar for our community, just like that, just like WEgate is doing. How can I set my business model, how to do budgeting, how to promote my business through social media, and etc. Mentoring guidance, we have an amazing network of experienced mentors that support us all over Greece, and networking. And networking is, I believe, the core value of entrepreneurship. And here we are, we can exchange your contact details and network, collaborate and learn about each other. So how to be more gender inclusive? First of all, I will say is individual responsibility. Do we self-observe ourselves, what we are saying, what we are doing, or how we react where we're compounding behaviors of discrimination? Then do we have trainings like this training, or personal development training, self-growth, about gender equality, and etc.? And are we a member of a supportive community? Our peer group is very important of how we can do the next steps, or how we think, how we react, how we do things. And of course, the government. And we always say about that, but it's the truth. In the education system, do we have gender equality lessons, let's say, or seminars, or do we talk about discrimination or entrepreneurship? Mostly nowadays, it has to do from the teacher side and not to the educational system. Campaigns to raise awareness according to the every age group. Synergies with civil society. These two factors, government and civil society, must be bound and must do things together. Are there measures for women as decision makers? As we know, women are underrepresented as decision makers. And is there any allowance for mother entrepreneurs? Because if you're an employee and you're working and you give a birth, you have an allowance. But if you are a mother and you have your own business and you give a birth, the next day, at least in Greece, you have to go in your business. Otherwise, you will not have an income. You know, this is amazing. I don't know how this is working. It's crazy. Action plans for university. In Greece, we have same male students and female students that entering a university. Master degrees are almost the same. PhD, they're a little bit higher for men. But if we are talking about an academic career, it's always men. And this has to do because we have the thoughts or the beliefs or the stereotypes that women has to go home and take care of their children, and they're not following the career. There are paternity leaves, at least in Greece, they just started, but are the men taking the paternity leaves? Recently, I was talking with a man from Iceland. In Iceland, they're the first country in gender equality, and he was sharing me that actually I took more paternity leave than my wife because this was a need, and it was okay. No, he was really supportive. And is there effective protection from sexual harassment and domestic violence? And this is like a huge topic. We can talk hours about that. Companies and enterprises, for me, is obligatory to have inclusivity policies. Even if you are a small business, you start from small. And is there a gender equality for balanced hiring? And civil society, of course, just keep doing what they're doing, because we're always doing like actions, plans, activities. It's constantly. So what makes us different? I would say that we have this modern and holistic approach, as we analyzed before, but we are in the region. We are situated in an island. We have less accessibility, and usually this approach we meet in big city centers and bigger organizations. This is a milestone for us. We're very happy and very proud. This year we were awarded as top 100 women in social enterprise. And we actually managed to enter in corporate environment and to have collaborations with one of the biggest banks here in Greece, Alpha Bank, Coca-Cola, where actually we train their staff in terms of bias in workplace, female empowerment, female leadership, and goes on and on. Last year, we were also awarding from Vodafone Foundation, among hundreds of other applications, and Desmos Foundation, which actually support us. And Hondo Center and Unilever support our 3-month academy for female entrepreneurs. We're actually in 3 months, from 50 women, we have 5 businesses that started. Here is our online platform for social entrepreneurship. Κοινωνικό επιχειρώ is in Greek, is like Facebook of social entrepreneurship. You can go ask a mentor for help and guidance. And this year we had actually 44 collaborations with mentor experts, organization. And I will say for Higgs, the up left is the only organization in Greece, the only incubator that actually trains organizations, social enterprises, how to provide the biggest value. Last year, we were selected among 85 to the 5 all over Greece. So we are being trained and we train at the same time. This is our action plan for the next 3 years. I will stay down right to the MAM Hub. This is our long-term plan, and we're looking forward for this. And the numbers, we have succeeded in 2021. We have already 8 businesses that started from women to business, 1,378 beneficiaries, women that actually have benefited from our actions. And as you can see from the quality index, they're feeling more confident, their capability of actualizing a business idea is increased. And the highest is that they feel that being a member of a supportive community, what we said before, about the peer group. Here is a photo from our amazing events. This year we are going in another town, in Hania, in Crete. So we want to build different teams all over Crete, remote areas all over Greece, so women are supporting women. And that's all. We can connect. You can find us in social media, LinkedIn, wherever you want. I'm open to questions always. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. I must say that I really love your logo. And I really like the part of individual responsibility, because we have to start from ourselves and take responsibility for our actions. We cannot blame everyone around us that they do not support us. So we have to start engaging more in women entrepreneurship, and then start looking for that support. Exactly. So you mentioned something about the mom hubs. I really found that intriguing as a mom myself. Can you tell us more about that?
So Mom Hub will be the first co-working space in Greece. We don't have still. That will be for pregnant women and female entrepreneurs or working mothers. That is a working place that they can go, they can leave their children safely somewhere else, and they can work together. They can know each other. We will have also seminars for empowering women or personal growth, or involve their skills and develop their skills. And at the same time, we will have also seminars for the children, how to prevent stereotypes, how to catch up all these restrictive beliefs, even through stories or fairy tales and etc. So we're looking forward for this to happen and realize.
That's really a great idea, to work on both sides at the same time. So it's really a great idea. So this is an idea that could be replicated in other cities, regions, countries. Maybe there are, but I haven't heard any. Only that there was one library, I think maybe in Great Britain, that was created for moms with infants, with small children. But other than that, I think it's a great idea. You mentioned the pandemic, that you started your organization during the pandemic. It had an enormous impact on women entrepreneurship. So it was due to a combination of small businesses vulnerability, heavy industry sector impacts, and the additional burden of family care, in addition to the work demand. So women had to take care of their families, the schooling of children, while they had to keep up working. What are the lessons learned, or maybe opportunities that came from the pandemic?
I would say the lessons learned during the pandemic in personal level, organizational level, entrepreneurship level are several. But I would say about work-life balance and the boundaries we have set inside our families, inside our homes, according with our partner. Because, it was that point that moms with older children, it was okay. But moms with younger children, this was the real issue, that you were all day inside a house and you have to be the entertainment for the children, like 24/7, and where is the time for you? So this is where the boundaries are come, and this is a sharing responsibility. And as my partner Natasha told yesterday to a young mom, she was telling her, I'm talking for experience, because she's a mother of 3 boys, that, you don't have to be always like entertaining your child. You can also work, and she or he can be next to you. It's okay. She or he will learn. It's okay. The children are also trained. So if you have to do a work, they have to be trained that now I have to be more quiet. It's trainable, let's say. And then we say that all this period just put up on the surface all the stereotypes and the aggressive behaviors that they were already existed, but it was now up on the surface. It was an opportunity this period to think, to restart, and to start a business virtually. And this is what we have seen to happen. Yeah, it was a low cost, and it was the opportunity that you stop running to survive and to start something new. opportunity to connect, and of course, opportunity to scale up your digital skills. Yeah. And it's an excuse that we say, I'm 40, I'm 50, and it's an excuse. And this is a truth. Last week, I was talking with a woman that she's 80, and she was doing Zoom like perfectly. She's amazing. She's amazing. She's really so inspiring. So, but we have also to see that is there laws and directions that support women during this period? Because as we know, female unemployment was really increased. The women, it was the first wave that was fired. I was fired. I was the first one that was fired. Like young woman, and you know, without children, let's fire her. It's
the first one to go. Yes.
Yeah, and about financial literacy. How is the states? Where are we coming? Where are we finding ourselves on this? That's all I think.
Yeah, the digital literacy was a really big question around the pandemic, and many women had to be trained to be present online. And this is an important question, not only for the pandemic. Maybe it is a good thing that was raised during the pandemic, but it's important for women entrepreneurs to be present online. You know what they say is, if you're offline, you're offline. You're off the grid and no one can see you. So that's why people need to work more on digital literacy and prepare women to be more present online. So sorry?
Yeah. I was about to say that digital skills is a matter of will. Of course, it's going to take more time and more will, but it's a matter of will at the end of the day.
Yes, of course. So, Patricia, there is one question for you. So how does the female entrepreneurship ecosystem develop in comparison with the whole entrepreneurial market in Switzerland?
Yeah, it's thank you very much for the question. I mean, it's slowy. It's a very slowy market. So it's a minority. I would say there is an imbalance. There is a market fail, and if we compare other industries, if we compare as a general, the activity in Switzerland, the female entrepreneurial space is very small. We are talking about, well, the last statistics I saw was done by GEM, the Global Monitor. Mm-hmm. And in their statistics, they wrote it's about 36% of females undertake in Switzerland, and 64% to males undertaking, males entrepreneurs. And in the startup ecosystem is even worse. So we do have it drops to 20% of women creating business in the startup ecosystem. 80% it goes to male. So it's very huge. It's very huge.
Yeah, I also read the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor about female entrepreneurship, women in entrepreneurship, and it was in general that Europe has a really lower percentage of women entrepreneurs than other continents, and it was due to maybe there was better working positions, maybe there is better working environment than in other regions, but still we have to work on improving those percentages.
Yeah, it's definitely something that comes cultural. It's a culture. I mean, because we have a very well-developed country where the money is not a problem, as you might imagine. And there are very well-established, corporations, and yeah, it's a choice. As already as already Eri mentioned, it's something that comes pretty much, it's about an independent decision to be or not to be in the space of entrepreneurship, because the career, sometimes it takes you a lot of energy and it needs a lot of resources, and you might need certain skills that perhaps you don't want to I mean, maybe you want to proceed in a more established and safe environment to grow up your family, and this is a choice. I mean, it's not something that, but it happens. I mean, we have a minority undertaking in Switzerland, but I think on the positive side, we are growing as well. In our case, Female Think Tank wants to increase the participation by 40% with our data-driven initiatives. So, and I think that little by little we can get it. There is a lot of attention from politicians and decision makers. So it is in the political agenda, sorry.
So who do you think are the main actors to work upon women entrepreneurship development?
As Eddie said before, individuals, males and females, because this is something that it's rooted in our inner, culture. So it's a kind of cultural change to move to a positive and a more sustainable world. And also, I would highlight that governments, as she says as well, but also individuals, influentials, the media. I mean, if we want to get a big mass, to get a wider audience, we have to be enough influencers. We have to influence, we have to persuade, we have to have role models. And so in media is super important. Media is super important to get the attention from a big mass. Investors, because it has been shown that it doesn't matter if they're males or females investors, but both, we do have bias. And so because of this bias, we make decisions that are unconscious and that are not favorable, that doesn't help, female entrepreneurial journey in getting finance, for example. And self-confidence. I mean, I don't think there is an isolated solution, but different actions that needs to be taken to progress.
It's a holistic approach. Yeah,
of course,
from
absolutely.
Actors.
Yes.
Yes, we agree on that. So you both mentioned that access to finance is not a barrier for women entrepreneurship, but when we were discussing the barriers, we came to that the access to finance, it is a barrier. So maybe it's because of stereotypes, not that our funds are forbidden for women, but somehow they lack confidence in when they see a woman starting a business. Do you agree with that or no?
I do agree in terms that because if there is not fuel, there is no business. I mean, money needs to be there. That is obvious, right? So, but money is not just the big issue. The big deal is to deal with your own fears and your lack of confidence. And I mean, we discussed that before, that there are differences on how women undertake. So we see businesses that they do not want to grow that much. They want to remain always small. They do have, a traditional business, and they make a very happy life in that way, and it's perfectly okay. While we can see other women who want to undertake in the startup ecosystem is completely different story. So in that sense, I mean, funding, high amounts of funding can be a problem because they need to have it for growing their business. So it pretty much depends on the business itself and the inner characteristics of the person, the individual. But I would say that in general terms, as a common denominator, it's stereotypes and bias, because we expect that you as a woman do something about it. As Eric before mentioned, that she had a lot of pressure at the beginning in her career because her family, her friends, they push her to raise a family. So I also experience similarities, a similar experience, right? A similar journey. And I might guess that mostly off of you, right? So so I think stereotypes in the first grade, and then it goes to the lower levels.
I would agree with Patricia that the stereotypes and the bias about funding is the first level. And in general, a woman can find the funding if she is empowered. Of course, it will be more struggle to do it. Of course, because of the bias and everything else, she will. But it has to overcome more obstacles and more barriers. And this is the truth. And the numbers are talking. This is what Patricia said before. The numbers are talking. And this is why now we have like pools of women angel investors that we addressed, or we are trying to go to more friendly spaces. It's crazy that when we are in contest, we are trying to prove how we can be in the break-even point to zero, when men are trying to prove how they can have profit. It's crazy.
Yes, we focus on different things. And one question, one final question, maybe you could both answer. How these initiatives that you're implementing, do you think they can be replicated in other countries? Is it possible, or are you willing to cooperate with other organizations?
You can, Patricia, you can.
Whatever you like. You can
start.
Okay, so from our perspective, it can be implemented, of course, pretty much depends on the characteristics itself of the country and the market. I do not think that every initiative or activity can be replicated exactly in a country. It needs to be an assessment, you know, market analysis, see what the prospects, and so. But an idea, we have two instruments. First of all, is raising awareness. So under the form, you might think that it's feasible in your country of origin. So raising awareness is very important, because by raising awareness and claim for action, we can change our ecosystem. So this is about, you know, getting a lot of visibility in the social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, and so, you know, proposing initiatives, roundtables, webinars. And this is basically, this helps to raise awareness, simplifying a bit the scenario. And then the second instrument is project managing. I mean, we propose pilot projects to be implemented in institutions because it's our target. So we see that there is a topic that can be implemented and transferred into a tangible tool, like a frame or a service or a product. Then we assess the market and we propose a pilot to be implemented in the related institutions. So this is something that can be also replicate somehow, maybe not exactly the same, but something that can work. Yeah, it's like to bring a baby alive, right? So it's a business. It's basically to bring a business idea alive, right?
I would also say that initiatives in civil society and in social enterprises, they can replicate it. Of course, you can try approaches depending on the market or the target groups, but you know, from cooperating through European Union's funding projects, we have seen that, you know, we are joined forces together and we have a common project. So maybe there are some differences depending on every country, but we have a common project. So if we can do that, and there are some other organizations like WEgate, like Women Do Business, like Female Think Tank, and goes on and on, that we all have the same goal, maybe sometimes different actions, or maybe sometimes similar activities. So it can be replicated. For me, it could be like more like join forces and just grow together. This is the synergies for us is like the biggest value. Let's grow together and have synergies.
Yes, synergies are quite important. And yeah, every initiative maybe can be replicated, but it needs adjustment according to the specifics of the country or the region that is in. But it's always good to share these stories that you have and your efforts you put in your organizations. We can feel the energy and hopefully the effects of it. So thank you once again for joining us together and for your selfless effort in presenting in the WEgate webinar. I hope that the audience will stay tuned with our next initiatives. There are a lot of WEgate initiatives coming up in the next period. You can follow us on the social networks and register for free on the WEgate portal. So thank you once again, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, Elena. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.